In this video, I'm going to provide an update on the stock picking records of Mcash and Financial Education, two stock market YouTubers that I've been tracking since the beginning of January 2021. And every single time one of these guys has posted a video providing a recommendation of a stock that they think you should invest in, I've kept track of that in a spreadsheet so that over time we can track the return on investment of these stock picks so that we can see if you invested $100 on every single stock pick that these guys make, how much money would you have today? This is the third update in this head-to-head series between Financial Education and Mcash. And I'll throw a link up here so that you can check out the other two videos if you're curious to see how these guys were doing just a couple weeks and a couple months ago. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, you might recall that Mcash back in February was up almost 43% on the year with his stock picks. So if you had invested $100 on every single stock that he recommended, in the middle of February, you would be up 43%. And then I started comparing Mcash's record to the record of Financial Education, who has a much larger following and also focuses more on large cap companies as opposed to the penny stocks that Mcash seems to focus on. And in the first comparison, Mcash was still doing quite well. He was beating Financial Education significantly. Then the markets took a steep dive and Mcash and Financial Education ended up almost level. And that's because the spreads and the volatility on the types of penny stocks that Mcash is recommending are much higher. Whereas when Financial Education is providing sort of blue chip recommendations and large cap companies that he thinks you should invest in, those ones aren't as volatile and you're not going to see as large the price swings when there's a significant dip in the market. And so the last update that I brought, these guys were almost level, almost even. Today, however, the tables have finally turned and Financial Education stock picks are doing significantly better than Mcash's stock picks, which is something that I had suspected would happen over time because, like I said, Financial Education provides better quality companies and performs better quality analysis of those companies that he recommends. Whereas Mcash is providing stock tips for a lot of penny stocks that are going to be very risky. They have the potential to see huge, massive growth in the short term, but over the long run, I always suspected that investing with Financial Education's recommendations would pay off. Before I get into the spreadsheet with today's update, I just wanted to address a couple comments that I received on some of my previous videos, which is that I wasn't recording the accurate price at which you could have bought into these companies based on when each of these YouTubers posted their videos with the stock tip or the stock recommendation. And so to clarify, what I'm doing is I'm trying to maintain a level playing field. And so I'm taking the closing price of the stock that was recommended in the video on the date that the video was posted. And I'm not trying to sort of do some arbitrage between when the videos of the stock tips were recommended in the Discord or the Patreon. So I'm applying the same methodology to all of the YouTubers that I'm tracking, and that way it's fair. Of course, I realize that if you watched these videos at different times of the day or on different days after they'd been posted, you could potentially be buying into those stocks at a different price. But in order to keep a level playing field and to apply the same methodology, I'm assuming that on the date that the video is posted, there's going to be $100 invested in that stock based on the closing price on that date of that stock. And so that way, that same methodology is applied across the field and the results will be consistent for each YouTuber that I'm tracking. It's not going to be unfair one way or the other. So with that said, I'm going to get into the spreadsheet. Now, you've seen all of this before if you've watched my previous videos, but essentially this is where I'm tracking each stock tip that's being provided by these YouTubers. I'm recording the date that it was recommended, the purchase price or the closing price of that stock on the date that it was recommended, and then this column here tracks the current market price. And so assuming that there's a $100 investment on each of these stocks, this is what that $100 would be today in this final column F, the gain loss column. And so again, as I scroll down here, you can see the types of companies that Financial Education is recommending. Like I said, a lot of blue chip or just really large, well-established companies. And so you'll see as I scroll down here, they're not all huge companies, but mainly these are household names. And he throws a couple penny stocks in there, but largely he's focusing on well-established corporate entities. But if we get down to the bottom here, you'll see that the ROI on all of Financial Education's stock picks since January 1st, 2021 is currently sitting at around 5%, 4.91%, which is pretty good, all things considered. And he's actually done better in the past few weeks than Mcash has, as you will see. They've sort of switched positions. Moving over to Mcash, like I've said before, you can see here in this column that a lot of these stocks that he's recommending are penny stocks. They're trading, in the $1 to $3 range, and they're much more volatile. So this column F is the gain loss column. And you can see that while some are up very big, like this SOS, other ones not so good. MTP, which was a recommendation on February 4th, for instance. So you'll see as I scroll down to the bottom here that the total ROI for Mcash's stock picks since the beginning of 2021 is basically 0%, 0.03%. So it's a wash. So that's pretty much it for today's update. I just wanted to show how quickly things can change, especially when you're investing in penny stocks. And back on February 13th, when I posted my first video about Mcash, he was up 43%, and now he's given all of that back and he's sitting basically at even, a 0.03% gain on the year. That volatility is really telling in my opinion, and so if you're going to be taking these stock tips from a YouTuber like Mcash, who's throwing new penny stocks out there every single day that you should invest in, then you really have to be cautious. And on that note, I wanted to show a quick little screenshot that I found from one of Mcash's recent videos of some poor guy who says that his entire portfolio is down 50% right now because he was investing on Mcash stocks. There's two sides to this, right? On the one hand, you gotta feel a little bit sorry for this guy because he probably got swept up in the hype train that is Mcash. He probably got pulled in by the clickbaity thumbnails and titles and the promises of huge potential upside with limited downside risk. But on the other hand, you can't feel that sorry for someone that's watching YouTube videos, going out into the marketplace and just buying those stocks without doing any proper due diligence, without doing any of their own research. And if you're just gonna watch a YouTube video, take it at face value and then go buy shares in that company, then you might expect something like this to happen. I guess let this just serve as a word of warning to anybody that might be watching these YouTube stock tip videos, especially if they're about penny stocks, and then just going out and buying those stocks without doing any proper due diligence, research, or without understanding the risk and volatility that's involved in investing in penny stocks. And with that, have a great weekend, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.